Hello friends and welcome back. It's the day after Christmas and I hope you all had a lovely one. We did here. It was Ben and I and our 3 kids, and it was lovely and quiet and calm, and I hope you had a wonderful as well with your loved ones. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about starting seeds, and not just any seeds, but I'm going to speak to you about 10 first-year blooming perennial seeds, and these are ones that I've personally grown. So they're ones that I can give personal advice on, recommendations, and they're basically my recommendations because A, they fit the cottage garden aesthetic. They're absolutely beautiful. They bring in a variety of different pollinators, and they are quick, rewarding perennials. Some biennials and some perennials don't flower in that first year. So these are going to give you a lot of bang for your buck, and I think that they are absolutely worth starting from seed. If you all haven't started doing seeds yet, I highly recommend it. First of all, it is a wonderful hobby to have in these colder, darker winter seasons when you're kind of huddled indoors. It's just a wonderful way to kind of connect with your garden and nature and dream about things to come. And secondly, it is a huge money saver. Even looking at all of these varieties, first of all, not all of them you can even purchase from your garden center or even online, but ones that you can, they are significantly more expensive buying a whole plant from either an online resource or your local garden center compared to a pack of seeds where that gives you the opportunity to grow like an entire swath of these plants that really will make a statement. Another reason to grow these perennials from seeds is some of them are so rare and very uncommon or very old-fashioned or very unique that they are just not grown by big like White Flower Farm or Bluestone perennials, are not offered by proven winners online, and that's the thing, is it gives you the opportunity to have a really unique cottage garden that is very curated by you, made by love, and carefully planned and selected by you, grown by you, and enjoyed by you. And it really is a wonderful thing to be able to grow some varieties that most people don't see or get to experience, and it's wonderful to be able to see that and experience it. So we're going to be going down the list of 10 perennials that I think are absolutely worth growing from seed instead of purchasing for all of the reasons above. And the first one is the Fama scabiosa. So scabiosa flowers are absolutely beautiful, and you can I've gotten many of the smaller scabiosas from the garden center, and they even have them available in the little 4-inch pots that are $5.99, $6 or so. They're very beautiful, but all of the ones that I have seen are just the basic standard lavender variety, and they don't get very tall, maybe 18 inches or so. But these Fama scabiosas, they are, when you grow them from seed, as opposed to the other varieties of scabiosas, specifically the Fama ones, they have a very dense, short, shrubby body, and the flowers actually bloom on long, wiry, strong stems, and the blooms are about 2 feet tall or so they make an excellent cutting flower. The foliage is absolutely beautiful. The body of the plant is actually pretty dense and compact, so it's not getting in the way of other plants or competing for that square footage or area, and the stems actually grow really long and it blends into the other plants and shrubs around it. So I think that it is such a winner and beautiful to grow. It's actually a very large bloomer. It starts in early summer and it will go and bloom all the way to fall. And an example of this, so a packet of seeds on rare seeds is $5, as opposed to one of these flowers from Bluestone Perennials is $15.95 on their website. So when it comes to planting a swath of things, I mean, the cost, gardening is already really expensive. We don't need to make it worse. We got to help each other where we can. Another variety that another perennial that is absolutely wonderful and easy to start from seed is Echinacea. And this last year, so I started these in late winter, early springs. I just followed the packet, and however many weeks before your last frost to start it, that's the instructions that I followed. They were very easy to grow, germinate, not fussy. So they're great for beginner growers, and they are hardy down to zone 3. They get 2 to 3 feet tall. And they are beautiful. So I did the swans down, I believe it's called, or I'll correct that and put the correct name on the bottom if that's not it. Swan's down, and then just the regular purpurea. And it is such a beautiful complement to the cottage garden. It brings in different pollinators. The pollinators absolutely loved it. And with a little bit of deadheading, it actually was a very long bloomer and went very long into the season until we got really cold, basically, and then it kind of stopped. The next one we're going to talk about is Verbena bonariensis. It makes the list, but only just, because it is so hard to start from seed. It really is very difficult to germinate. And I have tried many times to germinate it inside. My best advice would be to either direct sow it in the fall when the weather is kind of just starting to cool down and you're having more 70-degree days, or start it in early spring and just sprinkle it around. And as soon as the weather and the conditions line up with what that seed wants to germinate, it's going to grow. So what I actually did to have it in a more controlled environment where dogs aren't going to be stomping on it, or dog feet or cat feet, I actually put it out in a pot and I just heavily sprinkled the seed packets in there. And what do you know, I let it go for several months and ignored it, and I just let the natural rainfall around us keep them moist. And we were lucky enough last year that, you know, we had enough consistent moisture. Otherwise I'd be going out and keeping an eye on them more closely. But yeah, they germinated beautifully in the pot that I placed outdoors, and then I just sprinkled them and transplanted them around to the garden. So Verbena bonariensis is a wonderful long bloomer. As soon as early summer comes around, you start seeing those, it really just takes off, and then you see the blooms start to come in, and the blooms really don't stop until the fall, basically. And now I have left my dried seed heads on the plant, and that is going to be food for the birds and nature around us to get them through these winter months. Hardy down to zone 7, so it's not very frost hardy. However, it is an excellent reseeder. In fact, if that tells you anything about how difficult it is to start indoors compared to outdoors, if once you have them and you see how wonderfully they reseed outside, you know, it really is the way to do it. And I don't usually recommend outdoor seed starting very often, but for this one, I think it probably relies on it. Our next one that we are going to be talking about is Monarda, also called wild bergamot or bee balm. It has many names. So Monarda can actually be a wonderful problem solver. So there are pluses and negatives to Monarda, and I'll go through them. Very easy to start from seed, very easy to germinate. You just start the seeds, follow the instructions on the packet when to start them out before spring, or you can even start them in the fall because they are hardy down to zone 3. They get 3 to 4 feet tall, and they are wonderful. So problem solvers, they don't mind wet feet. So if you have areas of not as good drainage in the wintertime, or, you know, even in the late spring when your, you know, ground is still, you know, very moist and you have heavy rainfall, I put these actually in the lower areas of our garden where I know that we have, you know, drainage issues, and it just loves it and it thrives. So take notes and mark that down, that they absolutely thrive in wet feet. They can be pushed a little bit into the shade, and not too much, not heavy shade or anything like that, but they can be pushed a little bit into shade. So they are pretty flexible plants. The downside of them is that I noticed towards the very end of the season, and I take it with a grain of salt because for me, it's not a huge drawback. I only got powdery mildew towards the very end of my growing season. And so it wasn't like it was a major problem during the season that I was battling. It was more like the plant had done its job. It really had stopped blooming by that point. When we got into the fall, it stopped blooming. It's a great, like early, you know, great summer bloomer. And it is wonderful to attract bees, butterflies, hummingbirds. Hummingbirds love Monarda. So it is really a wonderful magnet for those like really beneficials that you want in your garden. The next one that we're going to talk about is Carthusian pinks. So these are one of those truly unique ones that it's like a unicorn. If you don't start this one from seed, you really aren't going to be growing it. It's a very unique, it's part of the pinks family, which I believe is in the dianthus family. So they are a perennial. They did bloom this first year, but I would say that their blooming is probably stronger their second year. They did send up lots of blooms for me. So Carthusian pinks, describing the plant, it is like it's like a grass cluster. It's just a tight little grass cluster. So it really doesn't take up a lot of vertical space, and it sends up shoots about 2 feet tall on really sturdy stems of these kind of bundle, like this tight little ball of tiny little flower heads. It looks like a drum. It looks very allium-like. So it's very allium adjacent. It very much could fit that place in your garden, but it's a longer bloomer. So instead of the allium coming up and doing its thing for maybe, several weeks or a month, this Carthusian pink is going to fit the role of the allium in your garden, but it's going to be more continuous over the season. However, it did fade out for me. I really didn't have any more blooms coming into the fall, and I think next year is going to be an even better blooming period. So they get to be about 2 feet tall. The stems are very strong, so they would be a beautiful accompaniment to cut flowers or bouquets, or even just cutting them and bringing them in. They are hardy down to zone 3, so they're a wonderful option, for winter hardy plants. The next one that we're going to talk about is the Arcado pink hyssop. So this is in the mint family because it's a hyssop. However, it is absolutely beautiful. It gets to about 2 feet tall. It's hardy down to zone 6, so it's not your most hardy perennial. It starts blooming late spring into fall, and it is a wonderful salvia adjacent to fit that role in the garden. It is absolutely beautiful. It has more structured heads on it than an actual salvia plant does, and it is a wonderful pink accent into the garden. If you're looking for to add more pink, that is a wonderful one to do. I also grew the regular anise hyssop with this, and here are the differences. And it was user error with the anise hyssop. So the anise hyssop needs to be pinched, and it is not naturally very well branching. So what you end up with are a few really strong, really thick stems, and then a wind blows and it blows them right over. So you don't have a very robust plant, and they are very prone to knocking over with winds or animals running through. We have a lot of, dogs cutting through our garden beds. So the Arcado is very well branching naturally. It does not need to be pinched. It is a very long bloomer. Those bloom heads actually last longer than my Nepeta, than my salvia. I don't have to deadhead it. They actually stay very beautiful for a long time, and it blooms like late spring into the end of summer, I would say. I didn't quite, maybe made it into fall, but was starting to look a little tired by that point, which I don't blame. Like, this was such a heavy performer, and you can't get these plants anywhere. I have never seen these plants available for sale. You can get them I got these ones from Rare Seeds. However, they are not available on Rare Seeds currently. However, you can find them on Swallowtail Seeds. So they are available there, and I highly recommend that one. Another wonderful first-year blooming perennial is Rudbeckia. Rudbeckia gets to be about 4 to 5 feet tall, and it is hardy down to a zone 3, so it's a very cold hardy. It gets to be 4 to 5 feet tall in that first year. And this year, I think I started, also known as Black-Eyed Susans, and I don't remember what specific variety. I think I just chose the most basic one on a website and started that one, and I don't have the original packet, so I can't tell you what it was. However, I did take those out, and this year I am growing the Triloba Rudbeckia from Johnny's Seeds, and they have done really well. They're out in the East Garden ready to go. And I really like these ones. Are a little bit daintier. I'm hoping that they give me a little bit more of an airy, whimsical quality in the garden. They are very hardy. They attract a lot of pollinators. The pollinators absolutely love them, and they're very easy to take care of. So there's no deadheading with these. Like, they bloom, and I don't know if they're more like self-cleaning, but it just feels like There are hardly any tired blooms on them that I see that I feel like I need to cut off. So I found them incredibly low maintenance and a very easy grower. And they just kind of know what to do and fill out a space. And they look beautiful. And they are that little pop of sunshine in your border. And they can be, because they're taller, they can be towards, they fill that roll in the back of the border. And they bloom all season long. So they start blooming in late spring and they just go until frost, essentially. Another wonderful one that I did this last year for the first time is a geum. And the geum that I started, I want to say I got it from Outside Pride is the seed place, and this was the Lady Strantham. And so geums are really wonderful plants because they're another one of those that is just a really nice, compacted, tidy little habit, and then it sends up the long stems of beautiful blooms. And so this was like, the Lady Strantham is a beautiful sunshine yellow. It's a beautiful, I know a lot of people don't like yellow in their garden. I don't mind it. In fact, this year is the first time I've really added a lot of yellow, and now I kind of feel like, what was I doing this whole time? They're beautiful. They're sunshine, basically, you know, in plant form. And so I find them very cheerful, and they really do bloom starting in the spring. They start pretty early. They're one of the earlier bloomers that I remember from this year, and they went until about midsummer or so. So if you're looking for something to fill that earlier perennial window of blooms, at least in my experience here in California Zone 9B, that's when it really performed. And it was there sending up shoots and blooms with the Orlea. And that was a really beautiful combination with the umbels of the Orlea and then the beautiful little delicate blooms of the geums wafting in the spring breeze. It was really beautiful. So I recommend that one. Another one that I actually just discovered, so I grew it for the first time this year. I believe it's wedding candles, and if it's not, I will correct it and put it on the bottom of the screen. And they're beautiful. They were very easy to germinate. They were very easy to start. Pests and things seem to leave them alone, so they seem to just be put out there and thrive almost ignored, and they send out beautiful blooms. So the one that I started myself was wedding candles, and the ones that I got from Curious Flora in Richmond in the Bay Area was Southern Charm. And I would actually love to start this coming year. I'm going to get my hands on a packet of Southern Charm, and I'm going to start more of those. But I did start this fall more of the wedding candles. And verbascum, if you haven't started growing verbascum, they are a wonderful tall spiked flower, and it really does send out blooms all year long. So I got them in the spring, and I would say by summer they started putting out blooms, and they were even putting out fresh spikes of bloom well into the summer leading into the fall. So they were absolutely beautiful. They really, they are like a larkspur or a snapdragon in that effect, like they're a beautiful spiked flower component for your cottage garden. And it is a wonderful like variation of, you know, flower shape and flower form to add to that really eclectic mixed country garden look. So I think that they are absolutely beautiful, very easy to grow, very low maintenance. I mean, you can come in and you can deadhead the spent blooms, or you could just leave them in place. And right now I have them in place because I actually think that they look really pretty, and it's something to look at this winter season. They are hardy down to zone 5, and they get to about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. So they are a wonderful size, and they're very sturdy. Also, they need no staking. I've had no support for these plants. So they are very easy in that regard. Last but not least, in the ones that I've grown, so I purchased a lot of these from the garden center early this spring, and I really fell in love with them. I never really did them before because I really focused on larkspur, and I would grow my larkspur and let it reseed, and that kind of filled the whole of this. However, I read somewhere that Delphinium actually does great in a woodland garden, and so I thought, that's what I need. So I started collecting them and putting them in the woodland garden, and they did. They bloomed absolutely beautifully, and they came in the little pots, the little 4-inch pots, so they were very easy for me to tuck in between roots. They didn't seem to mind being planted where they were planted. They didn't seem to be outcompeted. I bought the little tiny plants from the garden store, and they grew and bloomed for me in those shady conditions So this year, what I have decided to start is the Pacific Giants and also Cliveden Beauty. And so Delphiniums are hardy down to zone 3, and they absolutely flower their first year for you. How they do on the next years, I couldn't tell you yet. I'm a little bit skeptical that they might come back. Maybe I treat them as an annual here in zone 9. However, they perform beautifully here their first year, and I'm looking forward to the ones that I have out in the East Garden. And every time I go out to the East Garden, they are sending out more blooms, and I'm trying so hard to keep them from blooming because I don't want them to spend their energy on blooms when they should be developing a good root system. So I'm trying to keep them at bay this summer, but so far they have such beautiful blooms that I've had to cut off. They are really beautiful. They can get up to 4 to 5 to 6 feet tall. And yeah, delphiniums are just beautiful cottage garden magic. So definitely try that. And I think that they actually grow better up in northern, cooler regions from what I heard, which is why I'm doubtful that they may have a good season for me next year. But if we need to treat them like annuals, then we treat them like annuals. And so these I also have a second list of ones that I'm growing that are new to me. So lupin, I have a lot of lupin that I have out in the East Garden in the beds. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I got these from Johnny's. The 2 varieties that I got are called My Castle and Chandelier. So they are like a nice crimson, like berry-like color mixed with a more like buttercream to white. And I thought that they would be a beautiful complement to each other because I'm trying to add more like deeper berry tones here and there in the garden. So the Johnny's website said that they do flower their first year. However, they are stronger and better bloomers in their second year. But I expect some blooms this year, this coming spring, early summer. So hopefully we will get those. And I'm also starting Lady's Mantle from seed, and I have never done that before. So that will be new for me. But I am planning on putting a lot of Lady's Mantle, well, if I can get a lot of Lady's Mantle to germinate and then survive the seedling stage and then make it outside. I'm hoping to put that around in the woodland garden area, specifically up around our back patio area. I think that would be really beautiful. So I will keep you guys updated with how the Lady's Mantle seed starting goes. And I'm also starting Nadia Macedonica. So I got this idea. This was from Cato Verde, Annette over at Cato Verde, and I love her channel. She is so good with seed starting. She has such a wealth of knowledge and resource, and she just so freely shares it with all of us. So if you haven't watched her, I highly recommend it. But I was watching her video, and she has Nadia Macedonica, and it's just, it adds a beautiful air of whimsy, and it's a darker crimson, and I just think it would look beautiful with the sun setting on it, mixed up in the other trees and shrubs. I actually think that I'm going to be planting it around the white wedding hydrangeas. I kind of have an idea that I'm going to be planting these kind of more crimson berry tones with more white light, like Orlea and Phlox and Dame's Rocket, and of course the white hydrangeas. So I think that would be a really beautiful complement. So that's why I started those with those in mind. So I will let you know how all of that goes. I hope this encourages you that you can go out and pick up some perennial seeds and see some pretty quick instant results in your first growing season with them. So I hope this video catches you in time and it encourages you to get online and to look around and, you know, have a fun winter project planning out your spring garden, because it really does start here. And I think that, you know, given a little bit of time and research, you can put together quite a beautiful, unique garden with minimal costs involved. So thank you all so much for joining me. I hope this video finds you well, and I hope you join me next time.